Okay, good morning everybody. This is Mukerji. So today let us recap the general properties of semiconductor, followed by Zener diode, and then followed by BJT. What is a BJT? And what are the general properties of BJT? So semiconductors. Anyway, what is a semiconductor? Whose conductivity always lies between the conductor and insulator. We just call it as a semiconductor. So the semiconductor has the conduction property somewhere in between what you call the conductors and insulators. Now, what are the different types of semiconductors we have? Of course, we have P-type and N-type. But what are the best materials in the semiconductors we have? So semiconductors, they are always between. They are actually not very good conductors. They are not even poor conductors. They are in between good and poor conductors. Good conductors anyway, like examples like copper. Poor conductors like glass. So they just lie between the copper and glass. We just call them as the semiconductors. So semiconductor materials basically they are crystalline, soft crystalline and inorganic solids. What do you mean by inorganic? Anything which is not soluble in water, we call it as inorganic. And they have different properties depending upon the materials whatever we have. But mostly commonly used semiconductor materials are silicon and germanium. And where are these used semiconductors? They'll be used diodes, transistors, sensors, amplifiers, rectifiers, capacitors, photovoltaic cells, LEDs, LCDs. Many diodes where we have this semiconductors are mostly used. Solar cells. So these semiconductors, we have a simple history. Of course, we are not going to go much into details of the history. Like we have Alexandro Volta and Thomas Seebeck. They actually have they have discovered the general semiconductor properties. I mean, they don't know what is the application they can find out, but they just find out what are the simple properties of semiconductors. It is Fleming actually who usually produce these vacuum tubes, and these vacuum tubes are nothing but the foundations of our semiconductor technologies, whatever we have today. And then we have this Berdin, Britain, and Shorkey, where these are the three scientists who were working in Bell Laboratories produced the first transistor. So now what we need to go by the name. What is a transistor? Now what is the transistor? Sister of trans? Do we call it as a transistor? No. Transistor is not a sister of transistor or sister of trans. No. Transistor is nothing but transfer of resistor. Now, what is transfer of resistor? Here, the conductivity or the flow of charges or the current is flowing not because of conductivity, but they varying the resistivity properties of the substances or substrates that we have. That is the reason they have named it as a transistor. And anyway, first transistor was actually discovered in 1947 by these three scientists, renowned scientists. From there on, the 1930s radio communications era, followed by defense systems, followed by magnetic storage, followed by semiconductors, followed by personal computing, the network era, internet era. Now we have mobile platform era, and the next, now presently what we are in IoT era. And next it will be augmented reality, load sharing of human brain load sharing, augmented human load brain sharing. That will be the next generation. Presently we are in IoT, right? So the semiconductors today, they are used in many electronic gadgets. You take any electronic gadgets, it contains semiconductor, like computers, mobile phones, firearms, security equipment, medical equipment, automobiles, solar cells, solar systems, transmission systems, communication systems. You just name it, any electronic gadget, it has those things. And these semiconductors have been evolved as transistors, then followed by integrated circuits, followed by SSIC, MSIC, LSIC, VLSIC, ULSIC, three-dimensional. SSIC stands for small scale integrated circuits. MSIC stands for medium scale integrated circuits. LSIC stands for large scale integrated circuits. VLSIC stands for very large scale system integrated circuits. VLSI stands for ultra large scale integrated circuits. And this is two-dimensional. Now we are going to go for three-dimensional printing technology for this semiconductor transistors designing. And what are the benefits of all these things? They are very low in cost and they have a very high level of unmatched accuracy, higher data processing speed, very huge amount of storage space, and they have a faster or fastest computing speed and complex data processing, analysis, storage, and transmission. And also, we are working on the best, finest supercomputers that we have. And this is what the general properties of semiconductors. And the future, what is the future? We have these semiconductors will be used in neuromorphic chips, quantum computing, memory technology. I think we have a quantum computer last year. I think we have made the news was made. This Google has said that they have produced the best, fastest supercomputer. Quantum technology, quantum computing technology, and they are also used in virtual reality, augmented reality, intuitive interface systems, artificial intelligence, cognitive technology, nanotechnology, V2V and V2A communication systems, also brain sharing, brain load sharing technologies. They'll be used in all these things. This will be the future. And what are the possibilities and outcomes of all these things? They deliver more personalized medication and treatment. At the same time, they are safer, very efficient, faster transportation, low in cost, improved communications, and linking of remote areas, very clean and efficient energy systems. And nowadays they are working on hybrid solar cells, hybrid organic solar cells, hybrid organic transistors, where they are biodegradable and flexible semiconductors, and they can even predict accurately the weather and calamity predictions, faster technology breakthroughs, and blah blah blah. These are things that might happen in the future. What are the advantages and disadvantages? They are endless advantages and highly endless advantages. And what is the disadvantages you have? The only one disadvantage what he has, if they land up in wrong hands. That is the only disadvantage we have as far as today's technology is concerned. So this is about a general semiconductors and all these things. So the best application of semiconductors PN junction diode. In that we have Zener diode. This Zener diode is nothing but a specified special thing of this PN junction diode. You know, PN junction diode, we have a positive type and a negative type semiconductor combined together, we get a PN junction diode. So Zener diode is a special application of this PN junction diode. So let us see how exactly Zener diode and simple properties of Zener diode is. So the Zener diode is exactly given by, it is actually a special kind of diode which permits current to flow in forward direction. Very simple, according to normal PN junction diode. But in a reverse bias, the voltage current flowing in reverse bias will be very good, very high, very you can call it as a high inclined breakdown voltage happens, and using which a reverse direction current flows in a Zener diode. So Zener diode mostly used in a reverse bias applications rather than a forward bias applications. So the schematic symbol is represented by a Zener diode with always a Z symbol, and the below symbol below is nothing but the industrial application of a Zener diode. So now the Zener diode representation, the graph is given by, in a forward bias, what is happening? Before knee voltage there is no current, however voltage may be, but after knee voltage there is a huge steep rise in current in the positive axis, and this is a forward bias, which is something similar to our normal PN junction diode. But in reverse diode, what is happening? Till leakage current, we are just increasing the current till leakage current. There is no maximum, there is no change in the voltage, and if the voltage is not yet developed, from leakage voltage to breakdown voltage there is a very little amount of voltage is going. But after breakdown voltage, what is happening? A huge amount of what you call a huge amount of current is getting generated at this junction, and the reverse voltage, a little reverse voltage of breakdown voltage, a huge amount of current, we call it as avalanche current. Avalanche in the sense of what is called a continuous flow or a increasing flow, we call it as avalanche current, and this avalanche current is happening in reverse wire, which is something contradictory to a normal PN junction diode. Even in PN junction diode we have a reverse voltage and a little current, but here an enormous amount of avalanche current will be flowing in a Zener diode. So this is what a theoretical background of the representation is. In forward bias, what is happening? It behaves like a standard PN junction diode, but in a reverse bias, what is happening? Current can flow freely throughout the breakdown voltage. So now let us take how exactly Zener diode used. Zener diode is basically used for a regulated power supply. We have a transformer. This transformer is sent to a rectifier, where rectifier is trying to decrease the fluctuations, sent to a filter, and this filter it is going to send to the voltage regulator, and this voltage regulator contains a Zener diode which actually blocks, or it identifies how much voltage to be regulated. Accordingly, it is designed, and a voltage regulation happens according to the design what we have, and that is sent to the load. So this is a simple diagrammatic representation. This is a circuit representation, general circuit representation of Zener diode. So what are the advantages of Zener diode? The advantage of Zener diode is that in the forward bias, it actually behaves like a normal PN junction diode, but in reverse bias, reverse current with a high value without damaging the diode. So wherever we require a reverse current with high reverse current without any change in the circuitry properties, then we'll be using this. Similarly, in breakdown, Zener, after the voltage across the diode will still an equivalent with the Zener voltage, so it is going to be safe even in the reverse bias conditions. And the Zener diode, Zener determined set value can be selected from 2.4 to 200 volts depending upon the circuitry or requirements of the electronic circuit. So this is exactly a Zener diode. So now the next concept of the PN junction diode, when we added this PN junction diode back to back, we get nothing but a transistor. Already we have defined what is a transistor. Transistor is nothing but transfer of resistor, an element which is designed or developed depending upon the transfer of resistor. We call it as a transistor. So now here the transistor. What is the transistor? This is exactly transistor. It will be having three phases or three legs, which is represented by emitter, base, and collector. So emitter, base, and collector. Once again, transistors of two types. One is NPN transistor, the other one is PNP transistor. We call these transistors are BJT, bipolar junction transistor. Bipolar, two equivalent poles, two charges like N and N, P and P. Junction, two junctions we have N, P, P, N. That's a transistor. So here what is happening? The emitter, base and collector we have. So emitter and base we have voltage called as VBE. Base and collector we have voltage called VCB. IE is the emitter current, IB is the base current, IC is the collector current, and the schematic representation is represented here. In an NPN circuit, what is happening? This is a circuit symbol and the arrow is always outside. When the arrow is always outside, it implies that there are huge number of electrons which are flowing out of the circuit. And this is what I call it as an NPN transistor. So here, if you're going to take a PNP transistor, in PNP transistor, what is that you have? You're going to have EBC same as NPN, but only the case is that we are going to have holes here. Holes are the majority charge carriers. So here, this is what is your NPN transistor. In an NPN transistor, what is that you have? A emitter is connected, base is connected, and collector are connected. So when emitter, base, and collector are connected in this, what is happening? Electron holes are generated in the emitter, out of which few electrons will be flowing to the base. Some electrons are held by the base, and remaining electrons are sent to the emitter and this collector, these emitted out electrons from the base, these electrons are going to combine with the holes available in the collector, and therefore recombination happens. So generation happens in emitter and recombination happens in the collector, and base is going to monitor how many electrons are going to send from emitter to the collector. So this is what a normal condition is. And anyway, these are all the simulation values. So this is of exactly a normal PN junction diode or NPN junction works. So let us go into more detailed, more descriptive part of this whole semiconductor properties and other things. Let us see. Anyway, we know that BJT. Apart from BJT, we also have another transistor called as FET, field effect transistor. Anyway, presently we are not interested in field effect transistor because that is the scope of the server. So we are going to just go into the properties of what? BJT, only bipolar junction transistor. So this is how a normal semiconductor diode is represented in a symbolic format, where we are going to have a p-type, or also we are going to have an n-type resins, and this is a symbol of a normal semiconductor diode. But in a Zener diode, what is that we have? We are going to have a Z symbol, and this Z symbol is represented in this way, and this is a diagrammatic representation, as well as the I symbol is given here, and the output is given where in a forward bias. Before knee voltage there is no much change in the current, but after knee voltage there is a huge change in the current, which is going in a positive parallel to the y-axis in a forward bias region. In the reverse bias region, before knee voltage there is no much, but after reverse bias, after a breakdown voltage, exactly there is a knee, and that reverse bias voltage, what is happening, a huge amount of current is flowing in a negative y-axis parallel to the negative y-axis, and this is what which is going to differ from a normal diode, and we call this as a Zener diode, and the total power is represented by Vz into Iz, the total current generated multiplied with the voltage that is going to be applied, and this is what a Zener diode and Zener diode thing is. Now let us go to BJT, bipolar junction transistor, its construction, principle, and operation. BJT, it has three parts. What is that? They are emitter, base, and collector. They have emitter, base, and collector. Now, this emitter, base, and collector are classified into two categories. One is with respect to their areas, the other one is with respect to the charges. If at all, if they are going to classify with respect to charges, emitter will be having the highest number of charges, followed by the collector, and then followed by the base. If at all, if it is with respect to the area, collector area is more than the emitter area, which is more than the base area. So, number of charge carriers, emitter greater than collector greater than base. And as far as the physical area, collector is greater than emitter is greater than the base. But most often, this is what a simple BJT construction is. In this, we have EBC, emitter, base, and collector. Emitter emits the charge carriers, base collects the charge carriers, and collector collects the charge carriers. And we have two different types of junctions. One is emitter base, and the other one is base collector. So we have two depletion layers, and therefore emitter emits electrons. Some of the electrons will be flowing through the base, of which few electrons will be stopped by the base, and remaining electrons will be sent to the collector. And this collector will collect, and it will be sent to the load or to the multimeter or ammeter, whatever we have. So here, let us take, we have two figures. In this figure, what is that we have? Let us take an NPN transistor, emitter, base, and collector. So in figure 3a, what is the case? The case is that the emitter is connected to negative and the base is connected to positive. Similarly, in once again BC, the base is connected to the positive and is connected to the negative. So here figure 3a represents that this figure 3a is a forward bias where free electrons actually enter the emitter and they go to the collector through the base. And figure 3b is a reverse bias. How it is a reverse bias? Because the negative N is connected to the positive terminal and base positive is connected to the negative terminal. Once again, The base positive is connected to the negative terminal and collector is connected to the positive terminal. So once again, this is a reverse bias. So when this is a reverse bias, now very small amount, now the minority charge carriers current will be flowing. In this minority charge carriers, the minority charge carriers from the emitter will be flowing to the base and they will be flowing to the collector. So in the figure 3a, what is the case? The majority charge carriers from emitter to base to collector, they will be flowing. And once again in figure 3b, the minority charge carriers from emitter to base to collector, they will be flowing. So now we have three different types of currents: IC, IB, and IE. IE is the emitter current, IC is the collector current, IB is the base current. So now what is the case? The emitter current is actually which is produced is entering into the base. From there, some part of the electrons are converted into base current and some of them are entering into the collector, producing collected current. Therefore, IE equals to IC plus IB. And here we need to find out what is the large signal current gain. Large signal current gain in the sense forward bias. Forward bias current gain. So the equation is given by IC equals to alpha DC IE plus IC naught, where IC naught is nothing but a normal reverse leakage current. There is always a leakage current and we are neglecting this leakage current for the moment. Therefore, alpha DC equals to IC by IE, where IC is the collector current and IE is the emitter current, and therefore we are going to take the output current to the input current, where we get the large signal current gain. This is what a transistor mathematical calculation of a PNP transistor or an NPN transistors. So now let us see some video representations of these collectors, base and emitter properties. So let us take this now. So bipolar junction transistor. In bipolar junction transistor, what is that we have? This is what a bipolar junction transistor is. So here, as far as already I said, the collector area is greater than the emitter area greater than the base area, and here the collector and emitter will have the charge carriers, but the charge carriers in the emitter will be greater than the collector, followed by the base, and base will have opposite charge carriers both of two compared to emitter and the collector. This is what a normal bipolar junction transistor thing is. So here what is happening, the emitter is emitting the electrons, and these electrons or holes, they are flowing from the emitter to the base to the collector. So for an NPN transistor, the arrow is always towards the inside. For a NPN transistor, the arrow is always outside, and for a PNP transistor, the arrow is always inside near emitter part. So this is what a normal junction is. So therefore the arrow is represented here in the left hand side. The arrow is in the inside. So this is this is a PNP transistor, and in the right hand side the arrow is outside. So this is a NPN transistor. So here it implies that here in the left hand side the holes are flowing, in the right hand side the electrons are flowing in. So this is what we call it as a bipolar junction transistor, and this is what a schematic or a symbol representation is. Now we have two different types of currents flowing here. One is blue colored circles, the other one is violet colored signals. Blue color are nothing but large controlled current, and violet color are nothing but a small controlling current. This large control current are because of the majority charge carriers, and the violet control are nothing but the minority charge carriers, because already we have discussed that every semiconductor or every PNP or NPN will have a minority charge carriers as well as a majority charge carriers. If they are forward bias, then definitely the majority charge carriers will move from collector to the base to the emitter to the base to the collector. Or if it is a minority charge carriers in the reverse bias condition, once again the minority charge carriers from emitter they flow to the base and to the collector. So what is the exact work of this? The work of this NPN and PNP transistors, they act like a switch. Generally we have a normal switch where you just on the switch, the fan on and a bulb on. When you switch off, the fan or bulb will off. But what happens because of this continuous on and off conditions, what happens, the mechanical properties of the switch may be lost. But here these transistors, depending upon the signal itself, they will be acting as on and off. And this on and off, there is no any mechanical representation. It's only like flow of large signals and small signals, depending upon which they can either make the load to open or take the load, or open the load or close the load, depending upon the large signal current and small signal current. Where we don't have any mechanical, we don't require any mechanical, we don't worry about the mechanical thing that is happening, and that too is happening at milliamperes as well as microamperes level. So therefore finally, if I want to put in a simple way, the transistor acts like a switch on and off, and this switching condition is basically or mostly used for huge number of data to be analyzed. And these transistors are connected to TTL logic. TTL in the sense transistor logic. So these transistor logics are basically used for designing the fundamental cells of a digital electronics, because there are fundamental cells like OR, AND, NOR, XOR. We have these fundamental cells, and these fundamental cells are used or prepared by this transistor. So they are used for producing this kind of logics, and they are also used for calculating. They can be calculated or understood using this micrometers or through the loads anyway. So this is what a general concept or a general condition of the condition of your NPN or a PNP transistors. And once again, already we have discussed that emitter and base we have a junction, collector and base Collector and base, we have a junction. So emitter base one junction, collector base one junction. We have two different junctions. We have call it as depletion layers. We have two depletion layers. So in this diagram, what is happening? Electrons are produced. Few electrons are produced. As electrons produced from the emitter, they are going to the base, and of which few electrons are moving to the base, and remaining electrons are flowing to the collector. So this is how exactly a normal transistor works. So let us go to a little more detailed explanation of this transistor part. How exactly they're going to work, and what is the most, how can we understand this most detailed other applications. Anyway, we know that transistors are the basics of our supercomputers and computers or in mobiles. These are things which basically we'll be using in all these things, transistors, applications, all these things. So now let us assume that this is a mobile, and this mobile consists of a processor, and this processor, the processor that we're going to show, that we're going to view here is a Snapdragon, and this Snapdragon processor, it's a 810 Snapdragon processor. So in this 810 Snapdragon processor, how many transistors are there? Are more than 2 billion transistors, and what technology? 20 nanometers technology. Very fantastic and fabulous. 2 billion transistors, man, assume 2 billion transistors, not one or two, 2 billion transistors, and that in a very small and tiny embedded, 20 nanometers technology. That is what it is. That is what the advantage of this transistor is. So now this transistor is going to act as a switch. So here a bulb is glowing, and the bulb is glowing because there is no further switch here. It is only the transistor which is doing it. And the other one is you have a mic and a speaker and amplifier. This mic and amplifier is connected by these two transistors. So amplification is comfortably happening with the transistors without any extra mechanical high level electronic gadgets. So how are this produced? Basically we take the silicon, which is actually by birth an insulator, but because it is showing some insulation properties, some conduction properties on addition of impurities, we call it as a semiconductor. Anyway, this silicon will be having 4 valence electrons, or it will be having 4 electrons where it can share with the other silicon. So now what is happening? This silicon has 4, and this silicon is going to combine with the remaining all the other silicons, and therefore this is exactly a silicon bonding is happening. Every silicon is forming a bond with the other silicon. So now whenever we give an energy, what is happening? The electrons from the valence band, they move to the conduction band, producing holes in the valence band and free electrons in the conduction band. This is what a normal condition is. This is what it happens. So we have free electrons represented here. But suddenly now we are going to add impurities. When we add impurities, what happens? Let us see when we add an impurities. When we call the addition of impurities as doping. Doping in the sense addition of impurities. So adding some foreign material to enhance the performance. We call it as a doping. So now here we are getting a pentavalent impurity which is replacing the silicon. So now this has 5 valency electrons, and this fifth free electron is moving in and out. So this we have an excess electron, and this excess electron is of a negative charge, and therefore this kind of semiconductor we call it type semiconductor. If this is replaced by a trivalent impurity, we have a loss of one electron. We have shortage of one electron, and therefore one electron from the other part is coming and sitting here, and therefore the vacancy is created, and this vacancy is filled by the other electrons which are moving. And this momentum of vacancy is happening, and this momentum of vacancy is happening because of the loss of or shortage of electron. We call it as p-type semiconductor. So let us take the transistor. In this transistors, we have NPN transistors and PNP transistors which are doped actually. So now we have this diagrammatic representation where this p-type and n-type are connected in such a way that we have this two sources, and these sources are connected to PNP or NPN transistors. So now here we have the impurities which are represented with the different colors. Let us take it as a normal diode, and normal diode we have these things. When they are connected in this forward bias condition, what is happening? Let us assume that the P is connected to positive, N is connected to negative. What is happening? The forward bias happens, and forward bias what happens? The electrons from N will be entering into P type via through the depletion layer, and therefore little conductivity happens. Before that you have a depletion layer, and what is the depletion? Depletion layer is nothing but the number of holes and number of electrons from p-type and n-type come and join together, producing an insulation region. We call this insulation region also called as a depletion layer, or also called as a no free electrons and holes region. So you don't have any free electrons on free regions, and the length or width of this is 0.7 volts for germanium and 0.3 for silicon. So this is how exactly it is happening. So now when exactly it is connected reverse bias, let us assume that the same thing is connected reverse bias. What is happening? The red color shaded area is getting increased. Why it is increased? Because of the reverse bias condition, therefore the depletion layer increases, and this depletion layer increasing because of the moving away from the junction layer. But if you are going to change it in a reverse axis, then what is happening? The depletion layer length decreases, and therefore electrons from N and holes from the P will be entering, and these electrons from N will be entering into P, and holes from P will be entering into the N because of the forward bias condition. This is what a normal PN junction diode works. See how beautifully the electrons are moving. They are moving towards the vacancies. From there, they are going and sitting in the vacancies, and electron hole pairs are recombined together. So they are generated on the right hand side, and they're going to combine on the left hand side. So this is generation recombination happening in a forward bias in a fantastic and a fabulous way. So now The same thing also happens if you are going to go for a forward bias or a reverse bias. In forward bias, it is the majority charge current which is going to happen. In a reverse bias, it is actually the minority charge current which is going to happen. But the procedure is same. Only thing is that in forward bias it is majority and reverse bias it is minority. But now let us take the NPN and the PNP transistor now. Earlier it was a diode. Now we are going to take this now. We are going to take this. We are going to take in such a way that you have NP and PN. In an NPN transistor, we have two kind of junctions. One is that NP junction and PNP junction. If you want to consider an NPN transistor, so in this one will be a forward bias and the other will be a reverse bias. So now here we have four different kinds of cases. One is both emitter base collector can be forward, emitter base collector can be reverse, emitter base collector can be forward and reverse, or vice versa. So here what is happening? The positive is connected to P type and negative is connected to N type, and therefore what happens? And the repulsion happens, and this repulsion is making the electrons to move across the junction to flow through the depletion, go to the holes, and therefore what is happening? Electron hole pairs are created in N type, and electrons are moving towards a P type. In that P type, electron hole pairs are going to recombine, and this procedure is happening. But this process is happening such that the emitter is sending the electrons to the base, but base stops the electrons and sends the remaining electrons to the collector. And in the collector, what is happening? The collector, it collects the electrons, and these once again collected electrons are once again sent back to the what you call the charges, and they are sent to the sources. And this is exactly the whole thing is happening. So second power source is sending in the forward bias, and which is happening. So collector is collecting the electrons from the base, which have been sent to the emitter, and we are verifying the output through the switches we have. So emitter emits electrons and collector of course collects the electrons. This is what a simple and a beautiful combination of these things. So the current gain is always given by IC by I beta. IB. IC represents the collector current, IB represents the base current. So this is the bipolar junction transistor. If you are going to take two such combinations here, two such combinations such a way that the base of one transistor is connected to the emitter of the other transistor, then you know what happens? A beautiful sound amplifier or a sound amplifier can happen. This is what another representation of all these things is. So this is another application of a transistor. We call it as a dual stage amplification. So one stage is going to amplify, that is given to the second stage. So in the first stage, what is happening? The sound waves are collected and they are converted to signals, and these signals are converted in turn to the sound via amplifier. So this is the another application of the transistors. So here input voltage is not sufficient enough to overcome the barrier potential, therefore it is off. But here exactly at the junction, input voltage is sufficient enough to overcome the barrier potential. Therefore the transistor acts as a switch in this diagram. It is also used in digital terms. Okay, with this, thank you. I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much.